on Friday. But first to Chad, where rebel forces aiming to overthrow President Idriss Déby have come within 600 kilometres of the capital, N'Djamena, briefly seizing the town of Amdam on their way. Moving deeper into the country from the east, the rebels say this new offensive, the second in the space of 4 months, is meeting little resistance.
After Gozbeda on Saturday, Tchadian rebels roll into the nearby town of Amdam. Fighters continue to storm across the country, edging ever closer to the capital in N'Djamena. Rebel leaders say that more support's coming in from the north. Saturday saw a gunfight with EU protection forces near a refugee camp, but so far there have been no reported casualties. It's all part of a new offensive against President Idriss Déby. The rebels are seeking support from France. They want the country to act as mediator.
We think that right now the Tchadians need peace, and instead of getting involved in a war in Chad, France should be helping Tchadians to open up negotiations.
But visiting the Ivory Coast, French Foreign Minister Bernard Kouchner said that France would not intervene.
France's role is not to support the government. There's no reason to intervene because, as far as I know, rebels have been thrown out of Abéché.
Out of Abéché, but fighting on elsewhere, and with the French vowing to stay out of things, there are worries the situation could degenerate.
Yet again, it's a way to destabilize the country. It's certain that there will be more dead. Young Tchadians will die from both sides.
Chad's president faces a nervous wait. Back in February, rebels entered the capital, and it took French help to keep him in power.
For more analysis, we now join Brahim Moussa, a European spokesperson for the National Alliance, based in London. Mr. Moussa, what is the situation on the ground now for the Northern Alliance, and what exactly do you want?
Well, what exactly we want is we want to overthrow the regime of Idriss Déby. So this is our aims, and that's what we want.
What information do you have about where your rebel forces are in regards to the capital this Monday?
We are in Amdam, and we are in different groups, and not only in Amdam, we're everywhere. Amdam is in just an hour away, and we'll be everywhere in a few hours.
Now, back in February, your forces reached the presidential palace in N'Djamena before being pushed back. Are you changing your approach this time?
Yeah, of course, because we learn from our mistakes, and this time we're ready to face anything.
But your forces are saying you're meeting very little resistance. Could you give us an example of that?
Well, yeah, because each time we're just approaching a city, the government forces, they're just running away without much resistance, unfortunately.
And do you have any word on civilian casualties in these towns?
No, we don't have any civilian casualty, and we're just avoiding that, and we don't just cause any harm to civilian, and we're just fighting for them, and we're just fighting for the democracy.
So you're saying that the Northern Alliance has caused no civilian casualties in this offensive against Idriss Déby?
Of course, I can guarantee you that.
You can't, or you can?
I can guarantee that.
Now, France has said it will not intervene in Chad this time to support President Déby. How does the Northern Alliance interpret that position?
We appreciate what Bernard Kouchner said, and we think that it is the right decision to take it because the Chad has got internal problem and has to be solved out.
If you have a message to pass to President Idriss Déby at this time, what would it be?
We just passed the message to Idriss Déby because there is no resistance, and he knows that. He knows that, and there is no resistance if without the French backing him, and we appreciate the French position now. And without just doing much, we ask him to leave.
Leave the presidential palace before your forces arrive? Is that what you're calling on him to do?
That's what we're calling for, just to leave the presidential palace, and then his time is running out, and we think that the population, the Tchadian people need for a new era, and they need for a new government which is democratical.
And you're convinced that the Northern Alliance can provide that for Chad?
Yes, we are convinced, yeah. That's what the population wants. As you see, when we entered the capital on the 2nd of February, we've been just welcomed by the population. And each city that we enter now, we've been welcome, and they tell us that we suffer and we need to be liberated from this regime.
Brahim Musa, member of the National Alliance, thank you very much indeed for joining us there from London.